And as bad as that looks, it's better than yesterday. Hey guys, be sure to follow me on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Penguin6. You got the idea. Still slightly polluted from yesterday. Yesterday was really bad. But it's getting better. Hello. Slowly getting better. Up trees. Get around these trees. Morning. And the trees go bye-bye now. Oh, there's a bird. Ah, there we go. Breakfast today, I don't know, maybe a bagel. It's kind of warm today. It's probably about 26, 27. Celsius, which is like in the high 70s. Clouds, yeah, it's mostly smog though. There's a bit of cloud over there towards Happy Valley, but there's a lot of pollution today. What is that on the ocean? Water? Boats? That's the Victoria Harbor that connects into the South China Sea and the ocean. There's lots of ships out there today, lots of ferries. Here's some ferries from Macau over here. I am on the peak. So that's the Macau ferry. That ferry is going to Discovery Bay. That ferry over there is coming in from Park Island. Oh, the big dome on the ocean. I didn't see a big dome. I did see a big cruise ship out there. There's a cruise ship there's a catamaran cruise ship over there. Hey Ireland, there's a bunch of construction vessels over there because they're building a new underwater freeway. Hang on a second, I got it out of focus, didn't it? So they're building a new underwater freeway. And let's see, there's a couple more cranes. Look at all these ferries down here. It's like ferry command. That's some Uliwo ferry. That's a Lantau ferry coming in, a Lantau ferry going out. Ferry going over to dry dock, or there's a cargo ship. Lunch today, I don't really know. Maybe I'll try something different. Where do I live? I live in the mid-levels. So you see this pink building? If you go up from this pink building, I'd live just up there, halfway down this mountain, in what's called mid-levels, because it's midway down the mountain. This is also known as mid-levels. This is mid-levels east. I live in mid-levels central. No, this is mid-levels west. I live in mid-levels central, and there's a mid-levels east over there. So this is mid-levels west. This is... it's not a river, it's actually the ocean. That's the harbor. A $25 American hamburger. That's possible. I had one 2 days ago. It was pretty good. It was only $20. We don't really have earthquakes. We have typhoons, though. Noodles are very possible today for lunch, as always. By the way, I'm Penguin6. I hike you around Hong Kong every day and show you the sights if you want to see the city. We don't really eat ramen. We eat wonton noodles, which are egg noodles with shrimp and beef, usually. Ramen is more of a wheat-based noodle, I think. It's a Japanese noodle. Today, we've got to go to the DJI store, and we'll probably go, we're going to cross the city on a tram today, go to the DJI store. Egg drop is that. It is smog, it's not very bad today. I am headed to the United States for a road trip in June and July. I'm going to drive from San Francisco to New York. So if you're following me or follow my YouTube channel, Penguin6, you'll see my road trip. There's a guy way up there catching that perfect shot. I could hear his camera going off. Let's go up to the next viewing platform. Take a few seconds to get around these trees. Yeah, we're going to drive San Francisco into the Great Plains, across the Midwest, up through Canada. Take a look at Niagara Falls. I don't know what I'm going to use. T-Mobile isn't really that great out in the rural areas. It might be my only choice. Since I'm a GSM phone. I'm thinking I might buy a Verizon Wi-Fi, MiFi sort of thing, stick that in the car, and then use T-Mobile or whatever. But I don't know if I'm going to get a signal with T-Mobile everywhere. We're going to go to Carhenge. I'm also planning to see the National Potato Museum. We are on the wealthy section. This is the peak, but most of the houses are even higher up in the mountains in the jungle. If you look at my YouTube channel, I droned over here the other day. We're at about 1,400 feet above sea level, which puts us just about the same height as that building. But that building over there is slightly taller, the ICC. Hello, Canada. Interesting story, a watch was just found on a battlefield here in Hong Kong. And when they cleaned the watch off, they found the name of a Canadian soldier inscribed on the back of the watch. The soldier had been killed in action in the Battle of Hong Kong during 1941. And the Military Historians Club of Hong Kong managed to track down some family members of his in Canada. He was a member of the Winnipeg Grenadiers. So they have made a presentation of the soldier's watch back to a distant relative in Canada. So if you go to my Twitter, Penguin6, you'll see that story about the watch that sat on a hillside in Hong Kong for 70 years and has now just been reunited with it. I don't know what time is on the watch. Interesting. But there is a military historians group. They travel through Hong Kong with metal detectors and frequently find interesting stuff. They found a World War II bomber just a few years ago. A U.S. Navy bomber had crashed into a mountain, Mount Parker, which is right over there actually. During an air raid on Pearl Harbor, the plane had crashed, but it was left in the jungle for 70 years and lost and forgotten about. Now, you don't realize how thick the jungle is until you realize a World War II aircraft was in the jungle and nobody took notice of it. Yeah, I wish it was fog. To be honest, it's a little smoggy today. A little bit of pollution today. I am going to go to we're going to go right through the Potato Museum in Idaho. You had a bad headache, yeah? Drink water. Hey Sam, welcome to Periscope and welcome to Hong Kong. You're on Victoria's Peak looking down at the city on a Thursday morning here in Hong Kong. The day's about to get started. Yeah, Florida. It's about this. We're on the same latitude as Cozumel, Mexico and Havana, Cuba, so Florida is actually a little bit north for us. You always ask, how does the road stay so clean? Because the big broom man. That is a big broom. Big broom man comes through here every day and sweeps the path clean, so I have a clean hike. And for that he gets about $4 US an hour. Big broom man. I think it's in the title. How many boats? God, I don't know. Now you know the difference between a boat and a ship, don't you? There are a lot of ships out there. I don't know how many boats. But I mean, the Pearl River fleet is in harbor, so this is the ships that come down the Pearl River from Guangzhou. They can carry about 10 to 20 containers per load, and they come down daily from Guangzhou. They meet up with the derrick cranes, which are these barge cranes over here that offload them onto the shore or over to the shipping center, which we can't see right now because it's behind the fog. The Chinese Navy has a garrison here, and they've got ships there. There are ferry traffic all along down below. More cranes over there building construction. There's cruise ships at the cruise ship terminal. There's another cruise ship over here. A boat can fit on a ship. There's your difference. A boat is a vessel that can fit on a ship. with one exception: submarines. Submarines are called boats. Technically, I guess you can't really fit a sub on a ship. Howdy, howdy. Our Prime Minister is what we call the Chief Executive. He is appointed basically by Beijing, and he lives in the Governor's Mansion. That building right there, which is our White House, basically. Behind it, you see the steeples of St. John's Cathedral. That's the Church of England. And then that dome over there is the former French consulate, which is now occupied by the government. And then the modern cathedrals of capitalism, Bank of China, Citibank, Bank of America, Bloomberg, all of them are down there. So my wife is probably wondering where I'm at, so I should start walking, heading home. I'm doing all right today. Haven't had breakfast yet. My son won the juggling competition yesterday for his football team. So he's 10 years old and he juggled the ball 99 times. Whoa, wait a second. Guys, I think we might have a pig. Where is he? There's a wild pig down here. Yeah, there was a large thing cracking leaves down there. There are a lot of wild pigs up here. We run into them occasionally. My son is 10, he'll be 11 next month, right? A couple weeks actually. My wife sort of sets her own hours. She usually goes in about 10. But in international banking, you're kind of at mercy of people all over the world. She just hasn't gone to work yet. This flower is really pretty. I saw this yesterday. It's like just coming right up. My sons go to international school, Hong Kong International, which is an American school. American curriculum. You have a choice here. You can go British, French, German, Australian, Canadian, American, Korean, Japanese, Finland, Norwegian. You have all these different school options here because everybody is from somewhere else, basically. Is that a lily? Okay. You know, there's a new app. You can just point it at a leaf and it tells you what the plant is. I remember driving through the Midwest with my girlfriend at the time she was from Philadelphia, and looking out over the road, and I remarked, oh, the corn seems a bit high this year. And she said to me, how do you know that's corn? And I looked at her and I said, because corn is corn. And she's just like, well, how do you know that plant is corn? And I'm like, because it's corn. She didn't quite get it. So then I realized that she had no clue about trees, and so when we were out hiking or walking in my hometown, I'd like pull down things and say, this is a maple. How do you know what's a maple? Like, because it's a maple. This is an elm. This is an oak. Just really freaked her out. I don't know the name of the app. I just saw a story about it on Google News the other day. It was this plant identifying app. I gotta grab that. School gets out on June 12th, I think. My youngest is done June 12th. My oldest is done June 9th. We're probably going to leave that week and go back to California, where my niece is graduating medical school. And then we're going to start our drive, probably around the 4th of July, we'll start our drive across the country. First stop, Yosemite. The view over the fence right now, Mecca, is kind of It's like yeah, it's just forest. So I'm happy to show it to you, but there's no real view of the skyline, not for about another 5 minutes, because I've got to walk through the jungle for about 5 minutes or so, and then we'll get back into the skyline views. Your son's watching. Hello, son of Mecca. Welcome to Hong Kong. Do you know 75% of Hong Kong looks like this? Looks like jungles and mountains. Only about 25% has been developed for people to live in. That's why land is so expensive. There's too many people and not enough land that you can live in. But we need this. And the reason we need this is where our water comes from. Now, the kids haven't been to any national parks. All the rain falls on this jungle, and the rain gets channeled into little creeks and little reservoirs, and that's the water that we drink. So you have to maintain a certain amount of your area green and vegetative if you want to have anything to drink. And water is very, very important. Now, that's something people on the West Coast realize. People on the East Coast kind of don't pay as much attention to it, unless they live in Flint, Michigan. We're going to go through Yellowstone. Yeah, we're going to go Yosemite, then we're going to go down to the Grand Canyon, then we're going to cut back through Utah and go up to Yellowstone, then we're going to cut over to Little Bighorn, Devil's Tower, Wyoming, Carhenge, Nebraska, down to St. Louis, over to Illinois to meet my dad, up to Notre Dame, then probably cut over through Detroit, into Canada, over to Toronto, over to Niagara Falls, then down to Washington, D.C., and then back up to New York, and then a flight home. There really isn't enough water for Hong Kong. We actually have to import water from China. There's a river in China that's specifically maintained for drinking purposes, and they keep it very clean. Well, see you later, Walker. So I can look over here is a little bit of a building. It should be a fun trip. Oh, we might just end up in St. Louis and ditch the car and fly. We're going to go to Promontory Point, Utah, where the Transcontinental Railroad met. That should be kind of cool. Well, my kids are young enough, they don't really have a choice. And my wife is naive enough to think it's actually going to be fun. So, yeah, the family's all up for it. I'm coming basically in July. June, July. We're going to take 5 or 6 weeks. We don't really have a thing. I guess we'll probably take 6 weeks. I think we'll probably spend a day or two in New York City too. Bend, Oregon. It should probably be a little warm in July. I'm worried about getting fat in America. Every time I go on vacation, I get fat, so I'm going to be taking my scale with me this time. Will I be walking every day? No, I'm going to be driving a lot. I used to be fat. I used to be obese. I used to be technically obese on the body mass index. And then I decided to lose weight, and I lost 60 pounds in 9 months. And now I'm not fat. So I worry about going back to where I once was. Yeah. I use the Lose It app. LOSEIT. I counted every single calorie I took in, and I started walking. The first day I walked, I went about 10 minutes and said, this is madness. And then I eventually got up to about 40,000 steps a day. The app works if you obey it and don't cheat and cut your calories and repeat. You remember, like, you know what they say about shampooing your hair? Lather, rinse, repeat. Okay, it's kind of the same thing. The food is in smaller portions. It was interesting though, as I dieted, I started to make slightly better choices in food. Go, doggy, go. I started eating fruit instead of candy. But not grapes. Grapes are just sugar balls. I started eating oranges and apples, and I started drinking water instead of Diet Coke. 30 pounds in 60 days, that's pretty excellent. The dog helps. Well, if it keeps you running, yeah. The thing about my weight loss is it's now part of my day. I was very fat. I was obese. Yeah, I had a couple chins. I dropped 2 or 3. I was wearing like size 38 pants, I think, and they were sometimes a little tight. And now I'm like size 32, and they're a little loose. I could probably wear size 31. Funny story about that. Once I put on some pants and I said, oh, I need a brown belt. So I put on this brown belt. And then I said, wait a second, I don't own a brown belt. And then my wife looked at it and she's like, you're wearing my belt. And I'm like, oh, sorry. She's like, that pisses me off. How did I lose it? I used the Lose It app. I counted calories and I started moving more. Size 29. Oh, that's small. Well, I'm back basically. I got back basically to my weight that I was in high school. I weighed 145 pounds when I graduated high school, and at my lowest weight I was down to 150. Now at the moment I'm actually up at 157. My goal, my pretty much ideal weight is 155, so I'm a few pounds over. But Debashi Wu Dao, don't read Chinese characters. So I'm 5'9", 157 pounds. I'm a skinny guy. Now genetically, I think I'm predisposed to be fat. My mother's family is all basically obese. I did put on a few pounds in Singapore. Frickin' Marriott breakfast buffet. All you can eat breakfast was just awesome. I put on weight when I went to America. I put on weight when I went to France. I put on weight when I went to Taiwan. I put on weight when I went to Singapore. Whenever I go on a trip, I put on weight. So I'm really worried about 6 weeks in the United States, eating junk food in the car. It's going to be rough. Yeah, I've really reduced my breakfast now. My breakfast is usually 200 or 300 calories at most. I do eat at McDonald's for lunch, but you guys, you know, if you watch my video blog on YouTube, you'll see my dinners. My dinners are usually a salad. In fact, last night I had 100 grams of shredded chicken on top of a salad with lettuce, cucumbers, carrots, peppers, and some Italian dressing, or some red wine vinaigrette. So my dinner last night was basically 103.5 ounces of chicken plus a salad. And honestly, that's my dinner most nights, is a salad. I eat a light breakfast, but lunch is my big meal of the day. That's why I sometimes eat 2 lunches. So yesterday I had about 350 grams of fish and chips. So it was 200 grams of fish and 150 grams of chips. It was my lunch. But for dinner last night I had a salad. Yeah, portions are a big issue. I mean, the United States is just ridiculous on portion size. Just ridiculous. I do have a nanny who makes my meals, but usually I just make my own. I don't bother her. But if, like last night, she made me a salad because I was out late. Where's the tram? It was just here. Doesn't want to get out of your way. Up. I thought that was my friend. This is where I fly my drone usually. Ugh. So I got savaged by mosquitoes this morning taking my kid to the school bus. You know, the neat thing about the Lose It app is it has a barcode scanner. So like, let's say you grab a small package of chips, you just scan the barcode, boom, it inputs the calorie and nutrition data into the app. That's why I like Lose It app. It was interesting, you know, once I started counting calories, I realized how much I had been fibbing and lying to myself about calories. It's Thursday morning. You know, I'd be like, oh yeah, I only ate like 100 grams of that. And then I would actually weigh it, and it would be like 180 grams, you know. Oh, I'd be like, oh, I guess I did eat too much. You know, one of the things I did that also helped is I got smaller bowls in the kitchen. So I used to have these big bowls that could fit like 3 cups of Cheerios, yeah? And so I'd put 2 cups of Cheerios in there and the bowl would look kind of empty. So I went and bought smaller bowls. And now when I put 2 cups of Cheerios, that almost flows over the top. So it's like, wow, I got a big bowl of Cheerios this morning. When in reality, I just got a smaller bowl and I filled it more. Trick your brain. Trick your brain. It does work, you know, smaller plates too. When you have this huge plate and you put a bunch of spaghetti on it, you're like, oh, there's no spaghetti here. And then you fill it up and eventually you're eating like 400 grams or like half a pound of spaghetti or something like that. Bonsoir, friends. Comment allez-vous? Ça va, that's what I think you say. You chomp on cornflakes. I eat cornflakes sometimes. Wednesday, 6 o'clock in Cali. That means it's about 9 o'clock here. Très bien. Oh, make sure there's no snake coming down my neck. This plant behind me. So this is our walk home now. I live in this building. I live in that small little building over there. Can't get my other hand over it. I live in that building there. Debachi Wupusatao. I can't read Chinese characters. 3 in the morning. Wow. That means it's 9 o'clock here. It's about 8:58. Sometimes when it rains, I'll take one of these leaves. These leaves are huge. Yeah, so this is how big these leaves are. Yeah, that's my hand. And I use that as an umbrella. How many viewers did I have in my first broadcast? Not that many. My most popular broadcast ever had 250,000 views. The most I've ever had at the same time was a couple thousand. No, I'm not on vacation. I live here. This is my home. I live in that house. I've lived here about 7 years, and I do this hike every day. Ooh, little silkworm. Can you see the silkworm? Use the force. He's right there. You're one of my first followers. Cool. I came here from Washington, D.C., but I grew up as a kid in Illinois. Yeah, sometimes they're writing Nihao, sometimes they're writing something else. Like, die, Guaylo scum. My first broadcast was actually very similar to what you're seeing right now. I was up here hiking the peak on the first day the Periscope came out, and I showed the view. I moved here for love. I met the right girl, fell in love, married her, followed her to Hong Kong. So my first broadcast ever, I was showing basically the same view you guys have just looked at. And lo and behold, some guys in Periscope headquarters who were monitoring Periscope suddenly saw, hey, somebody is in Hong Kong. And they all said, guys, our app's in Hong Kong. So they all took a look at it. People kept telling me, oh, use this Meerkat thing, Meerkat. And I was like, oh, I don't want another app. And then suddenly I heard Twitter started the same thing called Periscope. And I said, oh, I'll try this Periscope thing out. Have I saved all my scopes? No. I've made hundreds, if not, I've literally made thousands of Periscopes. I've saved a lot. They're on my YouTube channel, Penguin6, called Periscope Rewinds. In fact, this one will end up there sometime later today. I'm a dad. I do dad stuff for a living. like take care of my kids. And yesterday I took my son to soccer. He won his juggling contest, 99 keepy-uppies. Has the team watched your broadcast? The first day of Periscope, several of the people at Periscope headquarters were watching my broadcast. And within the first week of Periscope, I think I was the first featured broadcast where they featured me and showed. So within by the end of the first week, I had about 6,000 or 7,000 followers. Or maybe it was 12,000 followers. So I was one of the early Periscope adapters. And I still do this hike every day. I need to show more. Today we're going to go on a tram. I'm going to take you guys on a tram ride across the city. I do a lot of stuff with the kids. That's doing dad stuff. Though today is a Thursday. Thursday is my favorite day because the kids have no activities. I don't need to take them anywhere. I don't need to be anywhere. I don't have to do anything for them. They're just basically a free day. In fact, today I try to get away from the kids so that they can experience like doing their own thing on their own without dad or mom telling them what to do. Yeah, I do take taxis usually when I go up the hill. I don't really take taxis down the hill. But lately I've been walking up the hill back to my house more and more. It's really not that far because I can take the escalator most of the way up. And just walk the last little bit. Kids were born in the United States, but they've grown up here in Hong Kong. They don't really remember any of their life in the United States before we came to Hong Kong. Many times. Background science. My father was a professor of science education, and my father wrote the Addison Wesley textbook for K through 12 science education. So science has always been a part of my life. My dad was trained as a geologist in undergrad, and then he got his doctorate in education. And we grew up. We lived in Florida for a couple years where he got his doctorate in Gainesville, so we used to go see the NASA launches, and that was kind of cool. I saw Apollo 11 go up. In fact, on my YouTube channel you'll see a home video of Apollo 11 my father shot with his old 8mm camera. I didn't learn Chinese. My wife speaks Chinese, my kids speak Chinese. I haven't felt the need to learn. I just do tell the kids. Just ask the kids, what's that say? I'd be like the kids, son, can you tell this man to go F himself in Chinese, please? So my kids do that. Hong Kong has a chief executive who's more or less appointed by Beijing. I've never seen a shuttle launch. I really missed that. Though actually, I do know how to say, go F yourself in Chinese. All the swear words I've learned. So this is 22 Barker Road, currently under construction. This is Jack Ma's house, the founder of Alibaba.com. He's worth 31 billion US dollars, and he ponied up 193 million to buy this house. Say it, Tamada. Tamada. Let's go F your mother, basically. Tamada. They're working on this house now. So let's get a look at the view. This house cost 193 million, but he's now renovating it finally. It's been unoccupied for like a year. What I love most about Hong Kong is walking everywhere. Is that I'm able to walk to Michelin-starred restaurants, the doctor's office, hardware stores, computer stores. Anywhere I want to go, I can just walk. I don't have to drive like in the United States. Basically, gasoline in the United States is a hidden tax on Americans. You have to just pay. Signal going out? Oh, bummer. This is his backyard. Hey, those purple flowers are back. You guys loved those purple flowers last year. You're always like, oh, what are those purple flowers? And I was like, I don't know. I don't know what those purple flowers are, but they're everywhere. Yeah, when you get a $193 million house, this is the view you get. But believe it or not, that's not even, this is like the third or fourth most expensive house in Hong Kong. 193 million does not take the cheese. Dogwoods are white, aren't they? Let's call those the tree formerly known as Prince. Yeah? Do need that app. So we'll call those the flowers formerly known as Prince. Weather is tropical rainforest, where you have the same latitude as Cozumel, Mexico. Today it's about, right now, because I'm up at the peak, I'm still a little bit high in the altitude, it's probably about 77, 78. Dogwood's going to be pink? Fascinating. It's going to get up to in the 80s today, though. I fly my drone here sometimes, too. You'll see why. If you go to my YouTube channel, Penguin 6, you can see a drone of all this. I took the drone up the other day. I have a video blog that needs to go up today. That means I gotta go home and edit it. It's very expensive to live there. We don't have summertime over here. We just have one time. Walk on the other side? Why? There's nobody here. There's no cars here. People drive very defensively here. You got to understand when you're very likely to run into a Mercedes or like a expensive. Who owns it? The $193 million house is not for sale. It's owned by Jack Ma. We have 4 seasons, but they're not as extreme as the seasons you have. This house here, this 6-bedroom townhouse, 6,000 square feet, was $100 million US dollars, 100 million. We have 4 seasons, and then this house here was 70 million. But you can rent for 65,000 US dollars a month, 65 grand American, and you can rent one of those townhouses if you want to live in this neighborhood. Those townhomes up there on the mountain are easily 40 million US. Is it spring now? Yeah, we're in the northern hemisphere, so we have the same weather that you have. It's just not as extreme. This is Hong Kong. You are in the People's Republic of China, located on the other side of the world. Probably. I have seen triad boys in Hong Kong, but they don't really mess with me. They stay away from the foreigners if at all possible. They prefer to mess with the locals. That's not to say it doesn't happen, but basically my world and their world do not intersect, except at a level we don't see, i.e. like a banking level or something like that. Most of the triad boys look like boy bands. They hang out in gangs of 4 or 5 of them, and they've got stupid haircuts and muscle shirts, and they're all smoking a cigarette. I mean, they look like a character. Just look at any Hong Kong movie with triads, and basically they all look alike. Same with undercover cops. You ever seen a Hong Kong cop movie? You could pick out the undercover cops too. The current and always exchange rate is 7.78 or something, 7.75. The Hong Kong dollar is a pegged currency, so the exchange rate doesn't really change, and it hasn't in over 30 or 40 years. We have a fixed exchange rate with the US dollar. Arrival UFO. Yes, could be. So now we're going to leave this path, and we're going to go down this path. The food is pretty good. You can get pretty much food from anywhere in the world. I prefer New Zealand fish and chips. I eat some Korean food every day or every other week. A lot of Chinese food. Truck food. Eat dim sum occasionally. Ooh, big broom crew today. A big broom crew is sweeping. New Zealand fish and chips are really good. Kind of like Australian fish and chips. Hey, Massachusetts. 6,000 US dollars for vacation. Yeah, you could have a nice vacation. Coming here for vacation is a lot like vacation in Chicago. I mean, the costs are not that extreme. It's only when you live here that the costs add up. I mean, when you pay $14 for a gallon of milk. Put it Morning. Those guys are making about $4 an hour, $4 or $5 US dollars an hour. But healthcare is free in Hong Kong, and many of them live in subsidized or free housing, government housing. About 50% of the people live in government housing. They're contracted by the city. Actually, I walk pretty slow when I'm doing periscopes. I walk a lot faster when I'm on the treadmill. I was walking fast there to get around the broom crew. Hi. They don't need to. The leaves keeps falling every day. It's just like mimicking Sisyphus. It is very slippery in the rain. Pollution has been bad this week. It's not bad all the time, but we've had a bad week actually. Well, I'm going downhill now too. Out of my way. Somebody will probably memorize this. I sure have memorized pretty much every turn. So we got to figure out what's for lunch today. I'm thinking it might be noodles. But somebody said burger. Burger might be interesting. Have I visited Astanta? No. Where is that? I just got back from Singapore. Spent a couple days in Singapore last week. But our next trip will be the USA. We do want to go to Australia sometime soon. We've never been to Australia, and we actually have an auntie living in Australia. We haven't had any typhoon. No, we haven't had many typhoons lately, but it is typhoon season is just now starting. So typhoon season will run the next few months, and we'll probably have a couple. But yeah, so typhoon season kicks off actually probably next month or so. We don't have FICO scores like you have in the US. It's a US thing. Guys, the signal's going to get a little wonky here, but just bear with me. We'll keep broadcasting. So if your signal starts to disconnect, just hang on. It'll come right back, because this curve is always a little bit wonky. But once we go around the bend, things get better. FICO is a credit score. I probably have a crap FICO now because I don't live in the US. Bad weather. Oh, that's a bummer. Here comes some guys hiking up the hill. They're not going to be as happy as me going down the hill. No, it's just the backyard. It's not really an official park at all. The big country parks are up in the New Territories, far off in the distance behind those mountains over there. Hey, that purple flower's here. All right, guys, what's your identification? Boy, the camera can't even do justice to this flower. I mean, it's really much bluer. Oh, look at all the bugs inside that one. It's more of a vine. Oh, there it is in a closed state. All right, horticulturists, gardeners. You guys are always asking me about weeds. Well, identify that weed, okay? all you backyard gardeners. Now cell phones are cheap. It's like $50 a month, unlimited data. Something like that. $50 US. Boy, the camera is crap today. It was kind of like I was going to say a wisteria. It was a vine, but I think the other one was a tree, not a vine. That was a vine. This path goes all the way down to those buildings you see down there, but I'm just going to get off at May Road, which is where I live. Well, there's plants everywhere. You can grow whatever you want. Look at all these weeds people are growing. Yeah, we'll get another view of the skyline in just a moment when we get around these trees. No, it's not a wisteria. The wisterias have those weird-looking grape-like flowers, sort of. But it was a vine. It was definitely a vine, not a tree. The one that we saw earlier was a tree. So that probably isn't the same purple flower we saw earlier. Catholic or Buddhist? I went to Notre Dame. About 15% of Hong Kong is Christian, and about 50 or 60 are Buddhist, and the rest are capitalist, basically. Most, actually, probably 99% of Hong Kong worship money above all other deities. Wow. It's a little warm today. It's going to be about 80, 82 today, Fahrenheit. Dang it, stupid camera. It does seem that there becomes a point where Periscope just gives up on trying to adjust the color and just says, okay, you just do it all manually. So I basically have to like manually control the exposure. So safe here is one of the safest cities in the world, actually. We have an incredibly low crime rate. Not to say crime doesn't happen, it does. But we had 28 murders last year for a population of 7.3 million people. Why don't we use this land? Because this land is where our water comes from. It's a watershed. So we need these trees to catch the water so we can drink. The trail does snake down the mountain. In fact, I have seen snakes on this trail too. Yeah, very low crime. If Chicago to have our murder rate, Chicago could have 8 murders a year. Baltimore could have 2 murders a year if Baltimore had our crime rate. Conversely, cities like Rochester have more murders than we do, which is not really a big city. Living as in the expat bubble, like myself, the international community bubble, we're really, really basically crime-free. Occasional burglary or something. Bonsai trees are the ones that are cut. Those are Japanese in nature. This is China. There are people who do cut bonsai trees here. So this house here, there are rapes. In fact, there was a high-profile rape the other day of a 20-year-old girl, but they got the guy. This is a house on Chatham Path. This was coming down from the peak. You can rent this for $33,000 a month, $33,000 US a month. But overall, sexual crimes and sexual harassment are less than you'd expect in the US, or certainly less in the US. We don't have the death penalty. I will come back. I'm going to visit the U.S. This summer. Will I come back to move? Maybe. We'll figure it out. Oh, cockatoo! Oh, let me see if I can get him in the camera. Where is he? Where the hell did he go? Ah! You stupid bird. Oh, he was right there. So there was a sulfur-crested cockatoo. Yeah, property is expensive. That place is $33,000 a month U.S. to rent. It's a 6-bedroom place. And I think actually 6 people share it. It's kind of like a group house. Each person paying $6,000 a month. Yeah. Crazy. Cray cray. And drugs. Of course there's drugs here. There's drugs everywhere. Most of the bankers are snorting acetaminophen, which their dealer tells is Charlie, but there are a lot of crazy. I don't go to long-way phone. I'm kind of outgrown that. The drug of choice for kids is ketamine, which I think is a horse tranquilizer. So I think that there's no stoner culture here like you have in the US. The whole idea of, hey man, it's 420, yeah? That doesn't exist really. My Cantonese sucks. Yeah, acetaminophen is Tylenol. You see they chop up Tylenol and sell it to bankers as cocaine. The banker's not too bright, they snort it anyway. I speak a little more Mandarin than I do Cantonese, but I don't speak much of either. But there really isn't a stoner culture here. Like my son's school, there are a few kids who are, you would define as stoners, but they don't find the peer support group that they have in the United States. You know, in the United States, you can hook up with all the stoners and you all kind of like be worthless together. So, is it cheap to live in mainland China and cross the border every day for work? You would need a visa to live in China and a visa to work in Hong Kong. Those are separate things and very difficult to obtain both. In addition, your passport would fill up. Your passport would be full in a couple of months with visa stamps. I go to the mainland a bit. I haven't actually been in a few months. I'll go up because they got a Papa John's in Shenzhen. And I could really go for some Papa John's. So maybe we should go to Shenzhen and visit Papa John's. Or maybe, I think I'm due for a trip to Macau. We haven't been to Dairy Queen in a while either. Maybe I can go to Macau and Shenzhen before I go to America. Would you guys like that trip? We do a little road trip. Jonathan J.K. wants to go to Shenzhen with me. We should talk to him. It's a flattering story. Maybe 40 years ago, not today. Shenzhen is pretty fun. A lot of foreigners live in Shenzhen. A lot of Hong Kongers live with this like morbid fear of Shenzhen. They've been told all these stories. Shenzhen is horrible. They'll kill you. They'll rob you. Shenzhen is the gangster paradise. Stay in Hong Kong. Don't go to Shenzhen. It's horrible. And it's kind of like, yeah, okay. A lot of local people live in fear of Shenzhen and Macau. The danger is real. Well, okay. I've never had a problem. I go there a lot. I did have this real pushy woman try to sell me Viagra once. Oh, it's not for you. You're very strong. It's for your friends. I'm just like, yeah, that's a good line, but I'm not going to use it. I don't really gamble anymore. I do dad stuff. Take care of my kids. Make YouTube videos on my channel. YouTube's Penguin6. Walk around the city, taking pictures of stuff. That looks like a solar power. I am crazy. It's like, you need Viagra. No, I don't need Viagra. But the best line you can get him back with, how do I know this is real Viagra? Do I get like a try before buy? You know? Then they like get all blushed. Oh, no, 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 no. I live here. I guess I work here. I live here in the mid-levels. No. Whoa, butterfly. No real need for crosswalks. So there's the Peak Tower. That's where we were up earlier on this scope. We've walked from up there down to here to my neighborhood. Now we're not going to get hit. We might step in dog crap, though. This sidewalk is notorious for dog poop. I'm on the May Road right now. M-A-Y Road. You guys want to look it up? May Road. My wife works as a banker. I had some internet companies. I'm starting a new internet company, actually, called Live Womp, L-I-V-E-W-O-M-P, Live Womp. That's the i3, that's the electric BMW that is so ugly. So Live Womp is my new influencer marketing platform I'm building to help live streamers get sponsorship. Hey, New York. Live Womp, yeah, that'll be up and running within the month. LiveWomp.com. It's just got a placeholder in there right now. Womp is just a word my kids yell. Womp! Because my kids are silly. The i5 is ugly. i8 is gorgeous, though. The i8's a hybrid, the BMW i8. That's pretty awesome. I don't know if there's an i5. I know there's an i3 and an i8, I thought. Hey, London. I haven't been back to London in a couple of years. I'm a season ticket holder to Arsenal, but I don't get back that often to use my tickets. Kind of a shame. What's this? What is it? BMW. We're here on May Road, M-A-Y Road. So the other day, this tree like fell down. You can see what's left of it up there. And it fell all the way over to this side of the road. It snapped this like a freaking pretzel. And snapped that. I'm going home. I live in that building right there. This is my home in the mid-level. So we're gonna go home, take a shower, maybe have a bagel. Ooh, there's a Model X. That's pretty cool. Tesla Model X. Season ticket runs about 1,500 pounds. I have 3 of them though, so it's about, I guess, 4,500 pounds a year to keep season tickets at Arsenal. I've been here about 7 years. I've been a season ticket holder at Arsenal for 10 though. It is same time as in New York, 9:26. It's 9:26 a.m. here though, 9:26 p.m. on a Wednesday. Today is Thursday. Arsenal is a football team in England. My house is right up ahead. You'll see in a sec. But when I go in the elevator, the signal disconnects. So such is life. It's on the map. Yeah. I'm from Washington, D.C., but I grew up in Illinois, hence the Midwestern accent. Sounds like a serial killer. Are they playing in the world? No litter there. Well, a little bit. Have I witnessed football fans fighting? Yes, in the United States, actually, I saw a big fight. I saw U.S. versus Guatemalan fans in a fight once. It was kind of funny. But not in England. I haven't seen a big hooligan battle. I've heard about them. They always seem to exist. I am from the future. Hey, you want to know your winning lottery number? Winning lottery number for Wednesday night is... Oh, that's right. We're not supposed to tell you. It's a big secret. Sorry. Best of luck. Keep playing. Such a word. How do you think we financed the Chinese economic miracle? We got the lottery numbers 12 hours before you guys. Those are sandbags. Apparently there's a moving truck going to come in here. Okay, guys, time to go in my house. Even the doormen are sleeping this morning. Oh, she's awake. Hi, thank you. Okie dokie. Thanks all for watching. Yeah, we have doormen, of course. All right, see you guys later.